In the tranquil suburb of Millbrook, located just outside the vibrant city of Hartford, Connecticut, a shocking crime disrupted the facade of serene suburban life. On a crisp autumn morning in September 2018, the lifeless body of 17-year-old Sarah Thompson was found in the woods behind her family's residence. The horrific discovery sent tremors through the community, causing residents to barricade themselves indoors and murmur about the presence of a killer among them. Detective Michael Carter, an experienced investigator with the Hartford Police Department, was assigned to lead the case. With his sharp intuition and steadfast commitment, Carter immersed himself in the complex web of deceit surrounding Sarah's murder. Little did he know that this investigation would challenge his perceptions and compel him to confront the most sinister facets of human nature. As the inquiry progressed, suspicion initially targeted Sarah's stepmother, Amanda Wilson. The troubled dynamics between the two were well known among neighbors, and Amanda's envy of her stepdaughter appeared to offer a potential motive. However, beneath the surface of this seemingly clear-cut case lay a convoluted narrative of betrayal, hidden truths, and dire repercussions. Central to this tragedy was Robert Wilson, Sarah's stepfather, a respected businessman and a prominent figure in the community. While Robert presented himself as the grieving father figure supporting his wife through their shared sorrow, Detective Carter would soon uncover that Robert's meticulously crafted facade masked a labyrinth of deceit that would ultimately lead to his downfall. This is the account of a murder that shattered the fabric of a community. A family tested a detective's instincts, unveiling the tragic repercussions of unchecked desire and betrayal. This narrative serves as a stark reminder that the most perilous predators can often be found in our midst, masquerading as ordinary individuals within our neighborhoods. Sarah Thompson was a vibrant and promising young woman whose life was abruptly ended just weeks before her 18th birthday. Born in 2001 to single mother Amanda Thompson, Sarah was a bright and inquisitive child, always eager to learn and discover the world around her. From a young age, she exhibited a passion for art and literature, with her teachers frequently commending her creativity and insightful writing, recognizing her as a student of remarkable potential. Her artwork adorned the walls of her high school, and she had recently begun to delve into photography, capturing the beauty of the forest behind her home, the very place that would ultimately become the site of her tragic demise. Despite her academic and artistic accomplishments, Sarah's family life was far from idyllic. At the age of 12, her mother married Robert Wilson, a successful local businessman. Although Sarah initially embraced the stability that Robert introduced into their lives, the relationship between stepdaughter and stepfather grew increasingly strained as she entered her teenage years. Her friends and classmates described Sarah as compassionate yet fiercely independent. She maintained a close-knit group of friends and was known for her courage in standing up against bullying. Her best friend, Emily Chun, fondly remembered Sarah's aspiration to study journalism at New York University. Sarah aspired to be an investigative reporter, driven by a desire to uncover hidden truths. Her relationship with her mother, Amanda, had always been intricate. As the only child, Sarah had been the focal point of Amanda's life for many years. However, the arrival of Robert introduced a significant shift in their dynamic. Sarah often sensed that her mother placed greater importance on her new marriage than on their maternal bond, leading to frequent conflicts and emotional estrangement. In the months preceding her death, those close to Sarah observed a notable change in her demeanor. She became increasingly withdrawn, spending more time alone in her room or wandering the woods with her camera. Her artistic expressions took on darker themes, and her previously diligent schoolwork began to decline. Emily recalled that Sarah appeared distracted and preoccupied, yet when confronted about her state, she would dismiss concerns with a forced smile and a swift change of topic. Unbeknownst to anyone at the time, Sarah had uncovered a secret that would ultimately prove fatal. Driven by her innate curiosity, she had stumbled upon information that someone was determined to keep concealed. Sarah Thompson's promising young life was tragically cut short just as she was on the brink of adulthood, leaving behind a grieving community and a mystery that would profoundly impact Millbrook. Robert Wilson, aged 45 at the time of Sarah's murder, presented himself as the embodiment of suburban success. A charismatic and esteemed financial advisor, he had established a prosperous firm in Hartford, where he managed substantial wealth. Among the affluent residents of the city, his refined appearance and confident demeanor positioned him as a natural leader within the community. He actively participated in the local chamber of commerce and coached youth soccer teams. Robert, who was born and raised in a working-class family in Boston, ascended the social hierarchy through a blend of charisma, intellect, and relentless ambition. In 2012, he met Amanda Thompson at a charity gala, and their whirlwind romance led to marriage just 8 months later. To the outside observer, Robert seemed to embody the ideal husband and stepfather, offering stability and financial security to Amanda and her daughter, Sarah. However, beneath the facade of success and propriety, Robert concealed troubling secrets and unfulfilled aspirations. His marriage to Amanda quickly lost its initial spark, prompting him to seek the thrill of an extramarital affair. For the past year, he had been engaged in a passionate relationship with Elena Gonzalez, the wife of his neighbor and close friend, David. This connection with Elena transcended mere physical attraction. He felt a sense of vitality in her company, experiencing a bond he believed he had never achieved with Amanda. The two lovers met clandestinely, seizing moments of intimacy while their wives were occupied with work or errands. Robert became skilled at deception and manipulation to sustain his dual existence. As Sarah entered her teenage years, Robert grew increasingly uneasy in her presence, aware of her perceptive nature and sharp attention to detail, which made him anxious about the possibility of her uncovering his infidelity. Consequently, he began to distance himself from spending time alone with her. The stepdaughter frequently devised excuses to avoid family dinners and gatherings. Friends and colleagues characterized Robert as charming and generous, always eager to share a joke or offer assistance. David Gonzalez, oblivious to Robert's deceit, often lauded him as the ideal neighbor and friend. Robert's clients placed their trust in him completely, drawn in by his solid guarantees and impressive history. However, those closest to Robert detected a subtle tension beneath the surface. His assistant at the financial firm observed a growing irritability and distractibility in the months preceding Sarah's death. Mark Stevens, an old college friend, noted that Robert appeared to be on edge, as if he were perpetually glancing over his shoulder. Did anyone suspect that behind Robert Wilson's polished exterior lay a man capable of horrific deeds, driven by a desperate need to safeguard his secrets and maintain his lifestyle at any cost? The grim discovery took place on the morning of September 15, 2018, when a jogger stumbled upon Sarah Thompson's body, partially obscured by leaves and branches in the woods behind the Wilson home, a crude effort at concealment that failed to mask the brutal nature of the crime. Detective Michael Carter arrived at the scene within the hour, his trained eye capturing every detail. Sarah's body bore the marks of a violent struggle, with bruises on her arms and face, as well as defensive wounds on her hands, indicating her fierce fight for survival. The cause of death was immediately evident, a jagged wound to the throat, likely inflicted with a sharp object. As the forensic team meticulously searched the area for evidence, Carter observed several significant details. Notably, Sarah's camera, which her friend claimed she always took with her during her excursions into the woods, was absent. Additionally, drag marks and disturbed vegetation indicated that the body had likely been relocated from the original site of the attack, possibly to conceal it and prevent immediate discovery. Most importantly, the absence of any signs of sexual assault led Carter to believe that the motive behind the murder was personal rather than opportunistic. The brutality of the attack suggested a crime of passion, committed by someone who knew Sarah and was driven by a moment of uncontrollable rage. As news of the murder circulated, the once tranquil Millburg community was engulfed in fear and suspicion. Neighbors who previously left their doors unlocked began to double-check their security systems, while parents restricted their children's outdoor activities. The woods, once a playground, transformed into a no-go zone, cordoned off with yellow police tape. Detective Michael Carter, a seasoned veteran of the Hartford Police Department with 2 decades of experience, assumed control of the investigation with a resolute determination. Renowned for his meticulous nature and remarkable ability to identify connections that others might overlook, Carter had successfully resolved some of the department's most challenging cases. Standing in the living room of the Wilson home, gazing at the family photographs on the mantel, he recognized that this case would test his skills like never before. The initial 48 hours of the investigation unfolded in a flurry of activity, as Carter and his team conducted preliminary interviews with family, friends, and neighbors from Sarah's school. Records were scrutinized, her social media profiles were assessed, and her activities in the days preceding her death were meticulously reconstructed. Robert Wilson, appearing visibly shocked, provided a comprehensive account of his movements on the night of the murder, asserting that he had been working late in his office, a claim supported by security footage and the testimony of his assistant, Amanda. Meanwhile, Amanda Wilson, still clearly distressed, struggled to maintain her composure during cross-examination. She acknowledged having had an argument with Sarah the evening prior to her disappearance but insisted that such disputes were typical of mother-daughter dynamics. As Carter probed further, a troubling picture began to surface of a household fraught with tensions. Neighbors reported frequent altercations between Sarah and her mother, often hearing raised voices across the well-kept lawn. Sarah's close friend, Emily Chun, disclosed that Sarah had been increasingly discontented at home, feeling trapped and misunderstood. The initial findings from the forensic team raised more questions than they answered. Trace evidence discovered on Sarah's clothing did not correspond with samples collected from either Robert or Amanda. The murder weapon, likely a hunting knife or a similar serrated blade, remained elusive despite an exhaustive search of the Wilson property and its surroundings. A significant development occurred when Carter interviewed Elena Gonzalez, the Wilsons' next-door neighbor. Elena, appearing anxious during the questioning, revealed that she had witnessed Sarah arguing with Amanda in the driveway the day before Sarah's disappearance. More intriguingly, Elena inadvertently mentioned that Amanda had always seemed jealous of her daughter's youth and beauty. Amanda's feelings, combined with the tumultuous family environment and her unconvincing alibi for the night of the murder, led Detective Carter to concentrate on Sarah's mother. He theorized that years of pent-up resentment had culminated in a confrontation that turned fatal. As the investigation entered its second week, Carter grew increasingly confident that they were pursuing the correct lead. He secured a warrant to examine Amanda's personal belongings and communications, hoping to uncover vital evidence that would resolve the case. However, a persistent doubt lingered in Carter's mind. Robert Wilson's calm demeanor and seemingly perfect alibi appeared too immaculate, too convenient. Unbeknownst to Carter, his instincts were guiding him toward a far more sinister reality than he had anticipated. As the investigation unfolded, all indications pointed to Amanda Wilson as the primary suspect in her daughter's murder. Motivated by the evidence at hand, Detective Carter began constructing a case against the 42-year-old housewife with a troubled history. His team discovered a series of heated text message exchanges between Amanda and Sarah in the weeks preceding the murder. In one particularly harsh exchange, Amanda accused Sarah of attempting to undermine her marriage, to which Sarah retorted by labeling her mother a pathetic, jealous old woman. These digital traces seemed to corroborate the theory of a family dynamic that had reached a breaking point. Amanda's behavior following Sarah's death further intensified suspicions. Although she initially appeared distraught, her demeanor quickly shifted. During the interrogation, Amanda displayed a defensive and evasive demeanor regarding her alibi for the night of the murder. She claimed to have been home alone, watching television, with no one available to verify her account. A search of the Wilson residence uncovered a diary concealed in Amanda's bedside table, which contained entries expressing her growing resentment toward Sarah. In these writings, she lamented Sarah's beauty and the attention she received from Robert. One particularly chilling entry stated, "Sometimes I wish she would disappear, our lives would be so much better without her constant presence and her judging eyes." The case against Amanda appeared to gain traction when a neighbor reported seeing her return home in the early hours of the morning on the day Sarah's body was found. Amanda could not provide a satisfactory explanation for this late-night outing, suggesting instead that she must have been sleepwalking, a condition she had never previously disclosed. As circumstantial evidence continued to accumulate, Detective Carter faced mounting pressure from both his superiors and the media to make an arrest. The community, gripped by fear, demanded justice for Sarah, and Amanda Wilson, once viewed as a sympathetic figure, became the focus of public animosity and suspicion. Despite his growing conviction of Amanda's guilt, Carter could not dismiss a lingering doubt. Her desperation and fear during the interrogations seemed inconsistent with the profile of a calculated murderer. Nevertheless, armed with evidence, he proceeded to make an arrest. On a rainy Tuesday morning, 3 weeks after Sarah's body was discovered, Amanda Wilson was taken into custody. As she was led out of her home in handcuffs, she vehemently maintained her innocence. Cries reverberated throughout the astonished neighborhood as Robert Wilson observed from the threshold, his expression transforming into an inscrutable facade while his wife was forcibly placed into the rear of a police vehicle. Unbeknownst to Carter, in his fervor for justice, he had succumbed to a masterfully crafted deception, allowing the true perpetrator to evade capture and conceal their actions. The case against Amanda Wilson appeared to be solid. However, Detective Michael Carter could not dismiss the unsettling sensation that something was amiss. It was a minor, easily disregarded detail that ultimately guided him toward the truth. While examining security footage from establishments near the Wilson residence, Carter discerned that Robert's vehicle had departed his office parking lot significantly earlier than he had asserted on the evening of the homicide. Intrigued by this inconsistency, Carter resolved to investigate Robert Wilson's life more thoroughly. He re-interviewed Robert's colleagues and clients, scrutinizing the man's activities and connections with greater diligence. During a discussion with Robert's assistant, Carter uncovered a pivotal piece of information. Robert had been making frequent and unaccounted-for visits to a cafeteria across town, always during his lunch break. Surveillance of the cafeteria unveiled a shocking revelation: Robert was regularly meeting with Elena Gonzalez, the wife of his neighbor. Their interactions exhibited a level of intimacy that surpassed mere neighborly friendliness. With this newfound information, Carter approached Elena for an additional interview. Confronted with evidence of the affair, Elena succumbed to her emotions, divulging the truth. The nature of Elena's relationship with Robert had spanned over a year, during which they seized every opportunity to be together. Overwhelmed by guilt, Elena confessed to having fabricated her earlier statement to shield Robert. This affair shed new light on Robert's alibi concerning the night of the murder, as Elena verified that they had indeed met that evening, directly contradicting Robert's assertion that he was working late. This revelation disrupted Robert's meticulously crafted timeline. As Detective Carter investigated further into the connection between Robert and Elena, he uncovered a complex web of deceit and clandestine encounters. Financial records indicated that Robert had recently sought to transfer substantial amounts of money overseas, while email correspondence suggested plans for a new life together, away from their respective spouses and obligations. The detective was confronted with a troubling question: could Robert Wilson, the grieving stepfather, truly be Sarah's murderer? Although the motive remained unclear, the flaws in Robert's seemingly perfect image were becoming increasingly apparent. Carter recognized that his intense focus on Amanda had nearly caused him to overlook the unfolding narrative right before him. A pivotal moment in the investigation arose from an unexpected source. Emily Chun, Sarah's best friend, approached Detective Carter with a small leather-bound book, Sarah's personal diary. Emily, burdened by guilt, admitted that she had initially concealed the diary, fearing it might tarnish Sarah's memory. However, as suspicion shifted towards Amanda, Emily understood that revealing the truth was more crucial than safeguarding her friend's secrets. Carter spent a restless night poring over Sarah's diary. Private reflections. The diary presented a striking account of a young woman grappling with a shocking revelation in entries dating back several months. Sarah documented her escalating suspicions regarding her stepfather's infidelity, detailing secretive text messages, discreet phone calls, and Robert's increasingly unpredictable behavior. The most incriminating entry was penned just 3 days prior to Sarah's murder, written in unsteady handwriting. It recounted her decision to follow Robert one evening, where she witnessed him in an embrace with Elena Gonzalez. Sarah expressed her feelings of disgust and betrayal, revealing her internal conflict about whether to confront Robert or disclose the truth to her mother. This revelation filled a crucial gap in the investigation. Sarah had uncovered Robert's affair, which provided a compelling motive for murder. Robert, a man who had meticulously crafted his public persona, faced the imminent threat of losing everything: his marriage, his reputation, and his financial security. Armed with this newfound information, Detective Carter revisited the forensic evidence, commissioning a more detailed analysis of Sarah's clothing to identify any overlooked traces. The findings were significant. Fibers discovered on Sarah's jacket corresponded to a rare fabric blend used in Robert's high-end suits. Furthermore, a review of Sarah's phone records revealed a series of brief calls to Robert's office on the day she vanished, indicating that she may have been attempting to confront her stepfather or arrange a meeting. Additionally, Carter uncovered that Robert had acquired a hunting knife from a local sporting goods store just a week before the murder. The weapon that had vanished from the Wilson residence corresponded to the type believed to have been utilized in the crime. As the details began to align, Carter comprehended the full scope of Robert's deceit. Not only had he manipulated his family and the community, but he had also expertly redirected the entire investigation towards Amanda. The detective experienced a complex blend of admiration for Robert's cleverness and revulsion for his ruthless actions. With an increasing amount of evidence implicating Robert Wilson as the murderer, Carter recognized the urgency of the situation. The man who had once been regarded as a community stalwart was now revealing himself to be a calculating murderer, willing to sacrifice his stepdaughter to safeguard his secrets. Detective Carter resolved to confront Robert Wilson in his office, away from the scrutinizing gaze of neighbors and the media that had gathered outside the Wilson home. Upon entering Robert's upscale financial advisory firm with her partner, they discovered him engaged in a client meeting, exuding an air of professional calm. In a voice barely above a whisper, Robert began to recount his story. He spoke of Sarah confronting him in the woods, threatening to disclose his affair to Amanda and Elena's husband. He described the panic that seized him, the dread of losing everything he had built. With tears welling in his eyes, Robert recounted how he had lashed out in desperation, silencing Sarah forever. His confession flowed forth, a deluge of guilt and self-reproach, as he detailed how he had meticulously orchestrated a plan to frame Amanda, exploiting the existing tensions. The interaction between the stepmother and stepdaughter unfolded as Carter placed Robert under arrest. His only utterance was a desperate plea: "Don't tell Elena, please don't let her know what I've done." The once respected man was escorted from his office in handcuffs, his world collapsing as the reality of his actions became evident. Following 2 weeks of trial and mere hours of deliberation, the jury delivered a guilty verdict on all charges, including first-degree murder. The judge, noting the heinous nature of the crime and Robert's calculated efforts to mislead investigators, sentenced him to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. While justice had been achieved, the lives shattered by Robert's deeds would require much longer to mend. Ultimately, Robert Wilson's case serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit amidst profound loss, the unwavering quest for justice, and the enduring strength of a young woman's voice, even when silenced, to uncover the truth. For those interested in real-life murder mysteries, we encourage you to like and subscribe to our channel. What sentence would you have imposed? Please leave a comment, and I will read it. Cherish life, for it is the only one you have, as the detective would say.